Huddle Up Moms began in Southwest Virginia with the mission of empowering mothers through education, connection, and support. Through services from a diaper bank to peer support to pre and postnatal education, HUM changes lives. The stories you're about to see were recorded at the Five Points Music Sanctuary in Roanoke. Thanks to these brave women for being willing to share these stories.
Our next storyteller, she's a mother of two, Roanoke City Public Schools board trustee, Boys and Girls Club board member. She worked for Child Protective Services in New York for 17 and a half years. She's a fierce advocate of children and pregnant women, and she believes investing in the community and children to make society better. Hands together, Liz Quintana.
My miracle baby. In November 2008, I was 26 weeks pregnant with my daughter. This was my second pregnancy. I had her brother 5.5 years before. This pregnancy was different. It was rough. In the beginning, I had 2 miscarriage scares. I didn't feel good. Like my prior pregnancy, I was high risk. I had gestational diabetes, and with my first pregnancy, I had preeclampsia and ended having an emergency C-section at 35 and a half weeks. My son was 6 pounds 2 ounces. He was born on a Wednesday and we were home on Friday. My due date this time was February 14th. Funny story, my birthday is February 13th. Anyway, to avoid major complications, the doctor has scheduled a C-section for February 9th. In November, I began feeling worse. Something was not right. I couldn't pinpoint what it was, but I knew something was wrong. For weeks, I kept telling my OBGYN, something is wrong. You need to take her out. And I kept getting the, oh, you're fine. You just forgot how it feels to be pregnant. I insisted to get some blood work. The doctor ignored me and never ordered the tests. For the next 11 weeks, I practically lived in the ER. Every weekend, it was something hot. It was something. High blood pressure, dehydration, contractions. I kept saying, something is wrong. I knew something was wrong. I couldn't pinpoint it, but I know how my body should feel. And this wasn't it. And I kept getting told, you're fine. I was so frustrated and began to think that maybe I was the problem. Maybe I forgot how it felt to be pregnant. Maybe they were right. At this point, my family thought that I was either being dramatic or crazy. On January 26, 2009, I had an OBG appointment at 10 a.m. I wasn't feeling good, but I knew I would be sent home and told that the scheduled C-section date was soon. I was escorted to examination room. My temperature and blood pressure were taken. The nurse took my pressure a second time. Her face showed concern. She stepped out. The doctor came in, asked me how I was feeling while taking my blood pressure. And before I could respond, the doctor told me they were sending a shuttle for me to take me to the hospital. My pressure was too high. I was having my baby that day. I arrived at the hospital at 12 noon. I was taken to the labor and delivery, hooked to an IV, and was told I had been scheduled for a C-section at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. came and went. The doctors had an emergency delivery. My blood pressure had got down. I could wait. A few hours later, my blood pressure went back up. The doctor came, said I would be next. Again, someone else had a more urgent delivery, and so on. At 11:37 p.m., my blood pressure was 189 over 110. I was rushed to the OR room. The doctor began to cut my skin. I felt some pressure, nothing more. After cutting through the layers, she got my daughter out. My daughter was not breathing. She was blue and limp. She had water in her lungs, and lastly, she came out breech. My cousin was in the room with me. I asked her why I couldn't hear the baby cry. She said, "Don't worry, the doctors and nurses are working on her." And then I told my cousin, something is wrong, that I didn't feel good. That's the last thing I remember about my labor. The next thing I remember is someone taking something out of my throat and saying very lowly, very far away, "Miss Quintana, you need to breathe on your own. You can do it. Breathe." Once I was able to wake up, I was in the ICU. I asked the nurse where was my baby. I thought they wanted to steal her. And I'm going to sidetrack just to say, when you come from a coma, your mind is literally on a fog. There's nothing makes sense. Whew. I had IVs on my neck, hands, arms, clavicle, etc. The nurse called my family, who assured me the baby was in the NICU. I still didn't believe her. They took a picture of her and gave it to me. My baby was dirty. No one had taken the time to clean her. She had an IV as she was refusing to take the bottle. I told them they needed to figure out a way to get me, for me to go to the NICU. They took me to her in my stretcher. Throwing up, I had a nurse hold a tub while I threw up and held my baby for the first time. I was able to bathe her and she finally took the bottle. Whew, sorry. We stayed in the hospital for 19 days. I died. I was revived. I received 4 pints of blood. I was in a coma. I had been told that my baby was going to be developmentally delayed. She would not walk or talk. She would have serious health issues throughout her life. Allow me to introduce to you my perfect daughter. Lily, who just turned 17 and is a junior in high school in advanced classes. If nothing else, I want you guys to always advocate for yourself. Don't push your that feeling away. Lean into it. If someone dismisses you, get a second or a third opinion. And just thank you for listening to my story.